Frank Decker is a guy who was a former cop who now goes out and finds missing people. And this started a book ago with him finding a missing little girl, and now moves on to him finding the missing wife of a friend of his. How did he originate? You know, it's what I used to do for a living back in the day. Was one of my jobs was tracking down particularly missing teenagers, but also missing people. So I think it comes out of that experience. Yeah, I've always thought of Frank Decker as a serial character. You know, in fact, I know the arc of his life. I kind of know what's going to happen with him over the next few books and where he goes and what happens. So I've always thought of this as sort of one long novel broken into a number of pieces. Writing a book like Missing is certainly psychologically easier than writing a book like Cartel, you know, with all of the attendant violence that comes with the Mexican cartels. So, yeah, you know, in the last two books, we've had happy endings where missing people are found. But when you're researching the subject of missing people, really the problem is that most missing people are never found. And usually there's not a happy ending. You know, so we'll see over the course of Frank Decker's career what happens with that. But I think it's important to know, you know, that for instance, right now there are 80,000 missing children in the United States every year. Most of them are found pretty quickly because it's a custodial case or something like that, but many of them go missing and are never found. So in researching, for instance, this book about a missing woman, you know, I came across 24 cases of young women who were never found. Trains. When I think of Germany first, what comes to my mind is trains, and I mean that in the best possible sense, you know, because I've loved going back and forth across country by train. You know, usually when I'm traveling, I'll sit and read a book or sit and write a book, as a matter of fact. In Germany, I sit and look out the window, and I keep thinking, oh, I'd love to go to that spot. Oh, what's that place? I'd love to go here. I'd love to go there. What makes prostitution so profitable anywhere is that it's one of those human needs or desires that will always be there. And if people can't fulfill that, you know, in a sort of a, if you will, normal sense, they'll fulfill that in a commercial sense. Also, I mean, let's face it, the startup costs are nothing. So when we talk about profit for prostitution, we really need to talk about two separate areas. You know, there are particularly women who are sort of on their own or relatively independent, and they make money that way. But there are also a sort of a sex slave trade, which is unfortunately highly profitable because those women are, you know, very, very much taken advantage of, exploited. I am always hearing of crime that surprises me. You know, and that in itself is surprising because I've been around crime since I was a kid, you know. But people are always coming up with new ways to steal, you know, new ways to make money. I think what's surprising these days about crime, and not in a good way, is how violent it's become. You know, there seems to be almost no regard for human life at all. Whereas, you know, back in the day, at least organized crime had some sort of code about not hurting families and, you know, not even hurting people in front of families, not hurting children, not hurting women. And all of those things seem to have gone by the wayside. Well, you will. We'll meet Frank Decker again, but I'm not going to tell you where. You know, I know, but I think I'm the only person who knows. You know, I know where I want him to go next and what's going to happen. I think I'll just keep that between Frank and me.